All right, guys. Our next guest is currently riding a 7-fight win streak and is set to take on Robert Whittaker at International Fight Week at UFC 290 prime position in a middleweight title eliminator to face Israel Adesanya for the belt next. A former double champion himself at both welterweight and middleweight. The pride of Pretoria, Dricus Du Plessis. Welcome for the very first time to Submission Radio, man. How are you?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Oh, man. Well, we are happy to talk to you. And by the way, man, it was only back in March that you fought and beat Derek Brunson. And now look at you. You're already set to face Robert Whittaker. Got to ask you, how the hell are you fighting so soon, man? And more importantly, how did this fight even come together?
Yeah, I mean, even before that, 3 months before the Brunson fight, I think 3 or 4 months. Yeah, it was 4 months, not even. It was around 13 weeks after the Darren Till fight that I fought Brunson, and then immediately I got the call for this fight. So
yeah,
it's been a busy year. I had 3 fights in 7 months, all of them being top 10 opponents. So it's good, climbing that as fast as possible.
On the fast track, man. Well, it doesn't look like it's stopping, and we'll get to that in a second. But I guess the big question is, because you've been so busy, man, because you've been beating all these guys, you've got this streak, man. The question is why? Why fight again? Why fight, especially considering the Israel, he looked like he was pretty keen on facing you, man. I saw on his channel, Freestyle Bender, he was speaking to Dave Blackamoto about how he would have loved to fight you in July, man. There's a bit of a rivalry there. Why fight Robert?
Yeah, for me, I told them, give me whoever. I said, at the end of the day, obviously the title is my goal. Well, the title is what I'm after. So whatever I need to do to get that title shot, they were actually very keen on that fight too. They said it's a big possibility. I said perfect. I said give me that fight, give me the title fight. I was 100% ready. July would have been soon, but I would have been 100% prepared for a title fight in July, and it looked like that was the way it was going to go. And I don't know, maybe they switched their minds. I don't know. They probably promised Whittaker a fight as well. So it would have been. I think that's what happened. I honestly think that they were in a place where they gave Whittaker a promise, and then Adesanya obviously wanted to fight me, didn't want to fight Whittaker again, and they said, "Cool, let's let the two guys work it out and see who gets that fight." But now a lot of people are saying it's not a smart move to fight Whittaker. 100%, I agree with that. I agree it's not the smart move, but I'm not here to be smart. Otherwise, I would have stayed in school and finished my studies and went to go work at a bank or wore a suit to work every day and did some corporate life, but that's not the life I chose. I chose to be a warrior. I chose to be an entertainer, and at the end of the day, I'm a fighter, and that's what I do. I fight. I don't want to get that title shot based on some hype created by I don't even know what, some guy who has the title, who's behaving like a little child and overreacting, and now the fight is happening because of hype. I want to deserve my title shot. I don't want to be handed a title shot. I'm going to deserve my belt, and that's why I wanted that Whittaker fight.
For many people in the division, it's almost like there's two champions. Israel, obviously unbelievable middleweight champion, but also Rob is someone who's basically gone through the entire division and beaten everybody except for Israel. When you look at Israel and Rob side by side, who is the harder guy for you to prepare for, if you had to sort of pick one?
It's a very good question, because if you go on how good they are, in terms of how good both are, there's really not a lot separating them. Both of them are incredible athletes. Both of them, in their own right, have done amazing things in the sport. Israel Adesanya is so clean and technical, especially when it comes to the striking area of the game, and not getting taken down. And he's tall and lanky, and he uses that very well. He has a great mindset. And then, of course, Rob with the same attributes. Just he's a little bit smaller, but then again, you have Rob with amazing pace, who has a strength to add to that, and he's an all-arounder. He can wrestle, he can grapple, he can strike. Wherever you're going to fight, Rob, it's not going to be easy. There's not going to be, if I get into the floor, it's over. Will I scramble? No, he can do everything. So I think both of them are really, really good in their own right. And as far as preparation goes, with Adesanya, there's a more of a blueprint to beating Adesanya, I believe. Even though he's so good and it's so hard to implement that blueprint, I think there is a clear path to victory versus Adesanya. he's just so good at not giving opponents their way. Where with Whittaker, the path to victory is not that simple. You have to catch him. That's at the end of the day what it's going to be. You have to catch Robert Whittaker, or to outwork him is hard. To make him tired is hard. To get him to quit, nearly impossible. So I think Whittaker, the harder fight, whereas Adesanya, a lot more technical.
Mm-hmm. Robert Whittaker the other day, he was speaking and he sort of like defended you a little bit because he felt like maybe some of the media were being a little bit disrespectful with their imagery and showing pictures of, say, him and Israel Adesanya in Sydney, making it almost seem like it was a done deal. And he kind of went out and had your back. But I wonder, like, when this fight announced, so many people online or social media were saying, like, well, I guess we're seeing Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker 3 at after International Fight Week in Sydney in September. And I just wonder, like, you being the guy that's actually fighting here, you're riding the streak, you're, competing for this spot. Like, how did that sit with you? Did it motivate you? Did it light something under you? Or were you able to just block it out or not even be on social media? How did that sit with you, man?
Yeah, well, I mean, the guys making posts doesn't really fight, do they? So it's for me, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm the one with the longest winning streak in the middleweight division. I'm the one on the 5-fight win streak, and whether I like it or not, that's the fact. And Robert Whittaker, always a class act. Like I said, even before I was in the UFC, he's been in the UFC forever. I've always been such a big fan of his. But at the end of the day, I'm killing my heroes in flights, and that's exactly what I intend on doing. Is, I'm glad he stood up. I don't think he stood up for me. I think he stood up for the sport and the respect of knowing that nobody can, especially at the level we're fighting at. We're fighting for the number one contender in the world. Nobody needs to be disrespected in a way where it seems like a walkover fight. Because believe me, if you've watched my career, I've never been walked over my whole career by nobody. And he sees that. He knows that. To think that I'm an easy fight is absolutely ridiculous, but that it doesn't concern me. For me, the only thing that concerns me is getting in there and getting the job done. For Robert Whittaker, I believe that's a smart way of looking at it. He has seen a lot of guys underestimate me. He has seen previous opponents saying, "Oh well, this guy, he looks a little bit drunk when he fights. He falls around, he looks tired." But somehow, some way, the weird style gets it done every single time, and that's what makes him a class act, and that is why he is ranked. Why he's ranked at number 2 in the world is because he doesn't make rookie mistakes like underestimating his opponent, and that's great because I don't want a Rob in there that underestimated me. I want the best Rob that we've ever seen in there, and I want to beat the best Robert Whittaker. And like I said, a class act and an incredible athlete, incredible ambassador for our sport, and he's a smart man for saying that. Listen, in MMA, there's no underestimating your opponent, no matter how easy it may seem. Maybe as with the media, they are almost putting more pressure on him because he's like, wow, what, this is ridiculous. But I mean, a class act from Rob, and it's nothing personal. Once we step in there, it's only business, and it's going to be an honor sharing the cage with him.
Just out of curiosity, Dricus, can you feel that moment, like when opponents potentially go from underestimating you to realizing they're like, oh shit, I'm in a bit of trouble here, like, something's happening? Do you ever feel that in fights, the shift?
Absolutely, every single time. Every single time. There comes a certain point, and most of the time that point comes around in the early second round, maybe at the end of the first, where they realize, okay, this is real. This guy hits a little bit harder than it looks. His pace is a little bit higher than it looks. He looks tired, but he's not acting tired. Everything starts to become reality, and it's always great to see. But there's also the opponents that did not underestimate me. That it's not that every opponent underestimates me, just a lot of them have. But those who did not underestimate me, when they realized, like, I didn't underestimate this guy. I knew he was good and I could see and I prepped for it, but this is different. And it's always great to see it. And it's almost like, when a tiger attacked its prey, and it can feel with its canines, can feel that when your blood stops pumping, when the heart stops. It's almost like that for me. I can almost see it in your face. I can see it in your energy. I can feel when you've realized this is not going to be an easy night at the office.
And I just want to give you your flowers for a second, because for the people that are watching this that might not know much about your career, you're obviously on the 7-fight win streak, 6 of those finishes. You finished Darren Till and Brunson in your last 2 fights. They might not know what Casper mentioned before. You're a former double champion at both middleweight and welterweight, and you're actually a welterweight champion in multiple promotions. You won the belt in KSW as well. So if somebody looks into your record, which I know a lot of fans may have not had a chance to yet, I know it's around the corner, they'll be super impressed with what you've been able to accomplish. But I also wonder, when you look at someone like Robert Whittaker, who himself is a super accomplished athlete and a former champion, what do you think is your best skill set going into this fight with him that's going to give him problems?
I believe that the best skill set is like you said with Whittaker, and that's what I said previously, he's such an all-around great fighter. They're preparing for Whittaker and saying, no, we're going to catch him on this or this. It's very hard. And especially at this level of the sport, nobody is terrible at anything. Nobody's unfit. Nobody's not strong. Nobody's not good at wrestling, grappling, striking. Yes, there's percentages and all of those things. Some guys might be a little bit stronger. Some guys might be a little bit fitter. Some guys better at striking, wrestling, but the level overall is good. So with a guy with Whittaker, I believe composure, pressure, and keeping it over the whole distance of the fight. Keeping and making no mistakes, because one mistake is going to be the difference in this fight. One mistake made will be the end of the fight, I believe, at the level like we are fighting at right now. I think a guy like Whittaker, no mistakes can be made, and every opportunity given must be an opportunity taken. If he misses, he has to pay. If he slips up, I have to capitalize at every single time he makes a mistake. I need to be there waiting and exploiting that mistake. And I think that's the key to victory. Just chopping away, making sure that when that hand is dropped, I'm catching him. When he overshoots, I'm there to catch him. Whenever he's slipping, if he slips and he falls, I need to be on top of him. If I catch him and he falls, I need to be on top of him. I can't leave any room for error in this fight. And that's the way we're prepping. We are doing everything we possibly can to leave no stone unturned and be better prepared for this fight than I've ever been for anything in my whole life.
Yeah, I mean that's really the perfect attitude, right? That's exactly the mindset that you have to have. And you had nose surgery recently to correct. Tell us a little bit about the nose surgery, man, and how much of a big sort of difference maker and impact do you think it'll be in this fight? Because I know Robert sort of laughed it off a little bit and sort of said, look, Robert doesn't breathe through his nose anyway. But for you, how big of a difference do you think this is going to make for this one?
Oh, it makes a tremendous difference. Like, for me, I know it came out, the news about my nose. I didn't like to make any excuses with my nose. I think it's stupid. I don't make excuses ever. The news came out, and I basically answered the question of why I breathe out of my mouth. Mm-hmm. I didn't use my nose as an excuse ever. Why would I make excuses if I keep on winning? But, to feel the difference in how I breathe, right now and how I breathe, it's absolutely insane. Sleeping, just everyday life, it's amazing. And I know Rob made the joke saying, why, my nose probably going to get busted up again. That is a fact. But the cool thing is, I've been fighting with that nose for a very, very long time, and it won't be anything new if the nose gets shot up in a fight again. But no, it makes a tremendous difference, and I'm really excited. I think a lot of changes were made. Not that it wasn't like a lot of guys saying I'm taking this more serious, and I've always been taking this seriously, as serious as possible. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting more professional with every outing, looking at previous fights, whether you won, whether you lost, and at the end of the day, making sure that we get better with every outing. And facing a guy like Robert Whittaker, there is no room for error. There's no room, no stone can be left unturned, because that will be your demise. And we are not allowing anything to go unnoticed in this fight. We are looking at every aspect, every place we can be better, and we are addressing it.
Well, there's a lot of aspects to this fight, man. I'm happy that you brought that up, because not only are you fighting a guy in Robert Whittaker who is one of the toughest guys to ever fight in the division, but I wonder, if at the back of your mind, you're also keeping in the fact that you can't get too injured in this fight, because you'll probably have to fight again 9 weeks later here in Sydney in Australia against Israel, right? So how do you balance that? How do you balance your game plan but also keeping in mind that, hey, I got a quick turnaround here. I got to be able to get back into training camp in a couple of weeks?
I'm not even thinking about that, to be honest. Now, what will happen will happen. At the end of the day, my focus is on Robert Whittaker. I'm not even considering the fact that there's a fight 8 weeks or 9 weeks after. It's not a concern to me. We'll face that bridge when we get there. I can't be at all be focusing or giving any percentage of my thought on something like that. My 100% of my focus is fighting Robert Whittaker, winning this fight and doing it in spectacular fashion, earning that title shot, and then we'll worry about what comes next. Right now, there's not a single percentage of my mind that's focusing at all on the fight after this. This is my 100% focus, and that's the way it should be. Focus on the task at hand, and this will be the next step.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, going in there with a killer like Rob, you can't really have any kind of like detours in your game plan, right? You can't be thinking like, well, I better not get too injured or this and that. Like, you got to be 100% on the task, which is exactly what you are. I wanted to also ask you, like, I know that like winning the belt, that's your ultimate goal, but I also know that like you want to be the best and you want to be remembered as the best. And like beating a Robert Whittaker is a massive step towards that. So even though he's not the champion in the moment, how big of a deal will it be for you to beat a guy like that? And what's that going to mean to you, Dricus?
Yes, absolutely. I think everybody, any single person in the middleweight division, if you can find a way to get to that belt without fighting Robert Whittaker, that's a plus. I think if you look at the Marvin Vettori, he fought Whittaker after he fought the belt. If you look at Paulo Costa, they made sure he didn't fight Whittaker. If you look at most of the guys that fought, if you look at Cannonier, they didn't give him to Whittaker until after the fight, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 100%. And at the end of the day, you have to realize that Pereira didn't have to fight Whittaker. So out of the top 5, nobody fought Whittaker really. Out of that top 5, nobody has fought Whittaker before he had to fight for the belt, because they know Whittaker is just going to run through everybody like he has, and there's never going to be another contender. He's just going to beat everybody before they get the chance to fight at the title. So if you go look at that stats, you can see the UFC knows Whittaker is the champion. In the universe where Adesanya wasn't there, Whittaker is the champion. And for me, when they offered me Whittaker, I was ecstatic. Now I'm fighting the guy who is in the pound-for-pound rankings without a belt. Which immediately, for my legacy, this is what I'm after. I'm not, people saying you beat Darren Till, he was beat up Darren Till. Darren Till and myself, we have like 8 months. No, we have like 3 months of age between us. We only have 1 year apart. We are 1 year apart in age. So a beat up and old Darren Till. I'm 29, he's 30 years old. That's not an old man. Derek Brunson, yeah, he's older, but look at his record before me. He only had 1 loss in, I think, 7 fights at the top of this division. So yeah, you could say he was old. Yoel Romero was old, but he didn't look the part. He was, let's say Brunson was older, but he was still beating everyone. So he had 1 loss in his last 6 or 7 fights before he fought me. So at the end of the day, that doesn't really bother me. But if you look at Robert Whittaker, he's an incredible fighter. He is probably one of the favorite fighters in the whole organization, the biggest names. Everybody knows who Whittaker is. And being on that pound-for-pound list as a non-title holder is actually incredible and very well deserved. And for me, going out there and beating a legend like Robert Whittaker is going to put my name up there. That is how you become a legend yourself, is by taking these fights. Not picking opponents. I've never picked an opponent in my life. Whenever they called me with Whittaker fight, and they were like, cool, listen, they are offering us Robert Whittaker. And I said, well, cool. If that's the offer, that's the fight. Same with Brunson, same with Till. If they offer the fight, that's the fight we take. And at the end of the day, I'm really looking forward to cementing my legacy even further and taking one step closer to greatness with a fight against the great Robert Whittaker.
Man, I mean, look, that's something to be respected. And like you said, it's fighting Rob isn't something that many people want to do, and especially on the way to fighting Israel. If you can complete this, a huge thing for your legacy, and what a way to the title shot. I want to kind of just touch on that whole Israel feud that you've had from your perspective, man. Like, how would you describe this rivalry with Israel you've got kind of going into this title fight if things go to plan? Because I know you said, you wanted to be the first African champion residing in Africa, and it was taken as you being more African than some of the past or current African champions, but you spoke about how that was never your intention. to mean it like that. I just want to know, like, how do you look back on that moment? Because it probably didn't come across like you intended. And how do you sort of look at this rivalry now with Israel and where you guys are at now?
Just to correct you, I never said it wasn't my intention. It wasn't my intention because that's not what I said. It wasn't never my intention. There was no intention involved. It was look at the facts, what I said. I never said the word more African in my life. I didn't say the word more African. I didn't say they were not African. I don't know what's the other narrative that was put out there. I stated facts. I am the only one in title contention ever to be born in Africa, live in Africa, to reside in Africa and train here every single day. That was my statement. And some people said, oh, I'm backpedaling. I never backpedal. I'm sticking with that because that is the fact. I never said the word, I am more African. I never said the word that they are not African or fake African. I never said that in my life. I simply stated the fact. So, yeah, I don't care how it came across. I care about what the fact is and what I said. And that's what I said. You know, our rivalry, and it seemed to have struck a nerve with Israel Adesanya because, you know, it seems like he likes to be whatever fits him best, you know, in terms of nationality. He's referred to himself as a Kiwi, he's referred to himself as a Chinese, he's referred to himself as a Nigerian. So, you know, at the end of the day, he's born in Africa, he is African, but he does not reside here. And that is the fact. That is what makes me and him different. We are both born in Africa, but at the end of the day, my success is coming out of Africa. My success is coming from Africa. I live here, I wake up, I train, I fly from Africa to Las Vegas to go fight, and I come back. And that is the fact. So, you know, the rivalry build up on this whole thing is actually ridiculous. I couldn't believe when I saw like this whole thing blew up. I thought, what? This is ridiculous. You know, for me speaking fact. But, you know, at the end of the day, it only helped me to see him absolutely go crazy and blow his top because of something. I honestly felt like he didn't watch the video, to be honest. But, you know, I don't care. Like, if he's angry, I don't give a shit if he's angry. I really don't care if he's angry. And, you know, because they said more African, they loved that narrative, and that words were never spoke. But, you know, at the end of the day, we'll face that when I get there. I'll face that whole situation once I've taken care of the fight with Robert Whittaker. Like I said, I have no intention of even thinking about a fight after Robert Whittaker. I'm thinking about one fight, and that's the Whittaker fight.
All right, we won't go on about Israel too much because, like you said, Robert Whittaker is the focus. I am curious though, and I wanted to ask you this. Like, I know like there might be like a little bit friction in terms of like Israel maybe not your biggest fan, but before you know that whole thing happened, did you ever look up to Israel? Did you ever see him as like, hey man, this is a guy that represents Africa well and stuff like that? Because I know you came into the UFC in 2020 and Israel was already the champion. And I know you spoke about how Robert Whittaker is someone that you really looked up to. And I wonder, before all this kind of happened, did you see Israel as like, oh, hey, that's a guy that's doing a good job, and et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, in terms of personality, myself and Israel, we are not the same, and that's fine. That's how life is. We are not the same personalities. We are not the same people. You know, we probably wouldn't have been friends outside of this world because everybody can't be friends. Robert Whittaker is more of a guy in my realm, and you know, there's a lot of guys that are just not gonna, you know, they're not gonna gel. They're not gonna be good friends, and you know, with Izzy. But one thing I have to say, and that being said, I don't know Israel personally at all. This is by the looks of it. You know, personas, how people act on camera, it's completely different. But I don't know him personally at all. At the end of the day, as a fighter, I've always had mad respect for Israel Adesanya. I think he's an incredible fighter. And in terms of that, in terms of legacy of being a really, really good fighter and being possibly one of the greatest middleweights to ever do it. Unfortunately, his competition is the great Anderson Silva. But, I mean, he's on his way there. And I can never take that away. I can never take away the fact that he is incredibly brilliant. And like I said, he is born in Africa. He represents Africa 100%, but he does not reside in Africa. He hasn't resided in Africa for a very, very long time, and that is the only statement that I made. And but in terms of being a fighter, he's absolutely incredible, and anybody who says otherwise is ridiculous.
I gotcha. I was going to also ask you like that patriotism, right? Because like when you go on Instagram and everything, like you're such a proud South African, right? Like where does that come from, man? Where does that stem from? Not everybody is that, I guess, in tune with their country just because they're sort of, you know, from there. But you just like, you're a very patriotic guy. Where does that come from, man?
Yeah, I don't think people realize how patriotic South Africans really are. You know, when it comes to sport, when it comes to you know, competing against the rest of the world. And when it comes to what South Africa has been through to be where we are today, when it comes to where the adversity we have faced and made the best of, and still face today as a nation, it's actually incredible to see how positive people are. You know, and there's so much to be negative about, but at the end of the day, this place is amazing. When I go into that cage, it's the same, you know, you guys being from Australia, you know rugby very well. The South African Springbok fans are, it's incredible. The atmosphere, you know, myself included, like I'm such a big fan. I'm a mad Springbok fan. But, you know, when I fight, I feel exactly that same, you know, that the goosebumps you get when the Springboks run out in that field, when we are playing in the World Cup that we have won 3 times. It's something that, it gets me so excited, and our whole country, how that unites our country, sport, whether it's soccer, whether it's rugby, cricket, it's amazing. And now me and the UFC, the amount of support I'm getting is absolutely incredible. And this whole experience, and that just adds to me being so patriotic, is to feel the love from my country, to feel the love from everybody, that when I fight, it's the support is amazing. And it's part of my fuel. It's part of my responsibility. It's part of the pressure that makes me shine like a diamond. And I absolutely love it. And, you know, the love, the support that I'm getting from my country, it makes me so proud, because that just shows you what an incredible country this is, how we get behind our people. And, you know, no matter the adversity, no matter the hardships faced, when we reunite, we are one powerful unit.
I feel like there's a few parallels between you and Robert Whittaker, who, you know, also represents Australia really well and did a lot in getting, you know, the UFC down here. And then here you are as well, also going against the toughest challenges on your way to the title. Want to quickly also
Sorry, just quickly. Sorry to interrupt, but just very quickly before we forget, Dricus mentioned being a powerful unit. No better way to be a powerful unit yourself than with no nose hairs and no ears hairs. That's right. I'm talking about Manscaped's Weed Whacker 2.0. Mind your manholes, gents. The Weed Whacker 2.0, the premium nose and ear trimmer, uses the powerful 7,000 RPM motor with improved steel blade system that upgrades the cutting performance from their first generation to better whack your weeds. Plus, the nose and ear trimmer comes with the skin-safe technology, which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs that you've come to love. And the Weed Whacker 2.0 is cordless, rechargeable, and has a battery of up to 45 minutes of runtime. I'm telling you, dude, there's nothing more annoying than driving through traffic and then you're getting all fidgety and then you're you know, digging through your nose and you're like, dude, there's like a bloody cave of hairs here. Same with your ear hairs. That always pisses me off. When I forget to do those, that irritates me because you look like a bloody koala. So the Weed Whacker 2.0 makes it nice and easy, and best of all, it's included in the Platinum Package 4.0 and the Performance Package 4.0, the best value for money. So no matter the kit you pick, you'll receive it in your package. And don't forget, save 20% off and free shipping with the code submission at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code submission at manscaped.com. From below to the top, get the best in grooming at Manscaped's shop. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. And speaking of great value for money, what about saving money whenever you purchase things online? Did you know you guys can get a cheaper deal for your flights, for your hotels, for your car rentals, just by changing your location? That's where our friends at NordVPN come in. They are right now saving you a ton of money when it comes to streaming platforms, watching sports around the world, watching coverage that's geo-blocked. You can't basically survive without a VPN, and we've got the best one for you. NordVPN has you sorted with the best app in the game. No speed throttling. One NordVPN account can be used up to 6 devices. And right now, you guys can get the crazy exclusive NordVPN deal where you guys get a massive discount plus 4 months additional for free. And by the way, it's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So try it today and see that Nord difference in your money, in your wallet, in your bank account. thanks to NordVPN. But Dricus, man, I just wanted to ask you, what about this huge news of Francis Ngannou signing for the PFL, but more importantly, the news of PFL Africa, now that he would get to be a huge part of developing it? What do you think something like that does for African MMA?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's incredible. I'm so happy for him because, for me, as an outsider, I just read the headlines. I don't really know what the whole story was. And now I guess anybody of the public wouldn't really know what exactly was said. And so for me, as a fan reading the news, this is great. It was him, and he got the best possible deal for himself. And then, of course, as far as African MMA goes, the EFC has been here for a very, very long time, and they've been creating amazing talents that fight all over the world, the PFL included, Bellator, KSW, myself, Cameron, all of us came through the UFC ranks. And so there's been amazing, and even Kamaru Usman, who just started his own fight league in Nigeria. It's incredible to see, because at the end of the day, there's so much talent to be harvested from the African continent that it just becomes more viable to get an opportunity. Your chances of getting an opportunity are so much better. And with PFL Africa and having a very familiar and an icon like Francis Ngannou being the head of the development of that PFL Africa, it's amazing. It's gonna change a lot of lives, and it's incredible to see.
It's cool, man, because I feel like the development there is sort of it's happening very exponentially, right? Like it's just gonna shoot up, and to get like everybody sort of behind it now. And I think that's also like why Dennis was comparing you to Robert Whittaker as well, because Robert was like one of the first guys putting Australia on the map when it came to MMA, and now like you're one of those people as well with Africa. So kudos, man. We won't take up your whole morning because I know you just got done training, but as we let you go, Dricus, just wanted to ask you, I know Conor McGregor, one of your favorite fighters, man. So I guess we got to ask you, what's the prediction, the Mystic Dricus prediction for UFC 290, man? You against Robert Whittaker. How do you see yourself getting it done?
I honestly believe, and I know that there's going to be a finish. The way he fights, the way I fight, that's imminent. It's going to be imminent, and a lot of respect to Whittaker, a lot of respect to his power and all of his skills. But I'm going out there to put a finish in this fight, and I don't see this fight going to that third round, to be honest with you.
Well, you love to see it, man. Two fighters in their prime taking on the best of the best versus Robert Whittaker, of course, the UFC 290, July 8th, 9 here in Australia and New Zealand. And, of course, follow the man on Instagram at Dricus Du Plessis. Dude, can't wait. This is going to be amazing. And thanks so much for joining us on Submission Radio. We appreciate the insight and you fitting us into your busy schedule. You've had a crazy year, and we congratulate you on all the success, man.
Guys, I really appreciate it for having me, and thank you so much. Enjoy the show and enjoy UFC 290. I think it's going to be one amazing show.